Okay, welcome to this WorldSkills UK engineering webinar for CNC milling competition. I guess if you're looking at this webinar, then you're interested in taking part in the CNC milling competition. Hopefully this webinar will give you a guide as to what you need to do before the competition, during the competition, and the points leading afterwards to successfully being selected to take part in the national final at the Skills Show at the NEC in November. So my name is Thompson. I'm based up here in North Wales in a college called Grŵp Llandrillomenau on the coast of North Wales. I'm the WorldSkills UK training manager for the international competition, and I also manage the national competition, so I set all the tasks, do all the measures, and make the selection of who's successful to go through to the skills show. We also, during our competition, look at the international part, where if you are age eligible, then there's the opportunity to go on further to represent the UK at an international competition. But the main aim of this webinar really is to focus on the national competition and to get you prepared and ready to compete on that national stage. For the competition itself, it's broken down into a few areas. The first one is, for the competition, is that the competitors have to fulfill a number of things, or competencies, in order to get them up and running for the competition. So the first one we're looking for is for a competitor to be able to individually write a program that can machine components from a given drawing. Now, we're looking for a competitor to do it individually, because if they're successful in getting to the final, then they will be on their own in the middle of the whole arena, so there'll be no support for them. It's something that they have to do themselves. So we need to make sure that they are competent to be able to individually write it themselves and actually can achieve what we're looking for. Once they've written a program, we then use the CNC machine to cut, drill, shape and finish the components. So you have a number of tools that you can use in order to create the shapes that we're looking for. A lot of the shapes are quite basic competencies that we'd expect the CNC machinist to be able to do: figurative pockets, depths, bosses, finished profiles, and those kind of things. We're also looking at thread milling, tapping, drilling and reaming, just some of the core competencies that we'd expect a machinist to be able to have. We'd also look for you to complete the program, so that's writing the program either through an online system or offline system, and then machine the components within a total of 7 hours. Again, we'd ask them to do this themselves, and for a member of the company to oversee and then sign a form to say that yes, they've done it within those allotted time frames. Once they've done it in that time frame, the machine parts are then returned to centre, where they'll be sent away for measurement on a CMM machine and assessment with a team of industry judges to find out which ones are the highest scoring, and usually the 6 highest scoring will be invited to take part at the skills show. The skills that we're looking for, what are the tasks broken down to? So there's a number of aspects that we're looking for to be assessing within that part. The first one is the main dimensions. So we have a number of dimensions on the parts, usually between about 15 to 18, that have got a very tight tolerance of them, between plus or minus 0.02 to 0.06 millimeters. So because these usually take a little bit more work, require a little bit more attention to achieve these tolerances, then they're kind of weighted a little bit heavier, so they get more marks the more accurate that we expect you to machine the parts. The next stage are secondary dimensions. So every other dimension that is not tightly toleranced has a ratio of plus or minus 0.1 millimeters. Again, these are marked not quite as high as the main dimensions, but they will be marked fairly as well. Then within the part, there is usually a number of faces that we would expect the competitors to achieve quite a good surface finish on, and there'll be a number of these, and they're between RA 0.8 and RA 1.6. We then look at the conformity to drawing. So if we're usually machining an aluminium block and we're asking you to machine on both sides of that block, we'll be looking at does side 1 match side 2 in terms of the drawing, i.e. have you machined it upside down, all that kind of stuff. We're looking if the pockets are in the right place, so just a number of things that we would expect. We are also looking for all the edges to be chamfered by a machine where possible, and where they can't be chamfered by machine, then those edges to be hand chamfered and blended in so that it looks as part of the natural process. Within this conformity to drawing as well, we have a number of criteria where we look at where the part relates to industrial standards. The first one is if some aspects are missing, then we would say that that is not up to an industry standard, so it would be a scrap in terms of comparing it to something. Then the next stage would be it would need some rework, so if maybe drills are drilled but they aren't tapped, then a rework process. The next stage would be, is the part finished? It might need some secondary processes, some fettling or some chamfering and deburring. And then the top stage where we're looking is the part is doesn't need any required, it's completely finished, it looks shiny, there's no burrs, all the edges are broken off, and that would be what we're kind of looking as the top aspects, and then we mark downwards accordingly from that point. We also want to try and get you to use one block of material, so we ask that whoever's the supervisor within that role to actually check that only one block of material has been used. This is just a check of how well they can cope under the pressure of just having 7 hours, and this is what they would face should they proceed further from the regional point. So we kind of just make sure that they can cope with that pressure. So the competition stages, how do they get started? So the first one is to go on the website linked to this webinar, or WorldSkills.uk.org, and they'll find the CNC milling competition in there, and it has a lot of information about the competition, and has some guidance materials to help them prepare for the competition. If you're interested and it's something that you want to do, then the next stage is to register online from the 1st of March 2016 to the 7th of April 2016. Once that 7th of April date has been passed, then it's no longer possible to enter the competition, and you will have to wait for the following year. So it's better to get yourself registered early and make sure that it gives you enough time to prepare for that competition. There are some resources available on the website, so if you use the competition preparation resources, there are some previous drawings, there's some rationale and what we're looking for. I'll give you the opportunity to practice and get ready for the competition. As soon as the 7th of April deadline has passed, you will then receive a competitor email that will have the competition piece, and then you will have till the 27th of May 2016 to program and machine that part in your workplace or college or wherever you have access to a machine, and then those parts need to be sent to centre by the 27th of May. It's better to send it registered delivery, I think, only because then you know that it's been sent and has arrived within the right time frame. And if any entries achieved after this won't be entered into the marking criteria. The next stage is the parts will all be marked, and the competitors who achieve the highest scores in the passive stage will be invited to the UK final held in November at the NEC in Birmingham, known as the Skills Show. So what will be tested? Well, we're testing the kind of same thing at the Skills Show final as we would for the regional. The competitors will produce a project split into two areas: programming offline using a CAM system. For the national competition we use Mastercam, and once the program has been done and then it's machined, the machine that we tend to use there is DMG Mori. Then the test project for the competition covers the practical work of this aspect. So again, similar to the regional piece, you will be given about 7 hours within the national final to program a given drawing that you won't see until the parts. then you'll be given access to the machine to be able to produce this piece again within the 7 hours. So this is why we kind of need to make sure that everybody has got the individual competency in order to cope with the pressure, because once they get into our arena, it's quite a different atmosphere, and all the people looking at them really brings out the difference in those who are competent in the work and those who aren't quite so sure. So each competitor without assistance will program using a Mastercam system and then machine the components through the DMG Mori, which usually has a Siemens control, and then we look at the parts, of the general impression and function of that part. So to prepare for the competition, read the competition brief clearly. Make sure you fully understand the competition brief and what is expected of you. Read the competition rules to make sure that you fulfill those rules. Practice using the past test pieces available at the following website. It's highly recommended that you look at some of the parts. We always tend to use an aluminium block that is 100 by 100 by 15 millimeters in size. So they're quite consistent in terms of what we can actually fit into that block. So looking at past pieces will give you an indication of the type of complexity and the type of tolerances and everything that we will ask you for that competition. Managing your time is a really important aspect of the competition, because I will make it quite clear, once you're in that competition, the time goes really quickly. You think that you have 7 hours, then all of a sudden you're down to 4, down to 2, and it just passes so quickly. So make sure that you're quite functional in your time, to set a set amount for your programming, a set amount for your tool setting, and then a set amount for your machining, and make sure that you can comfortably work within that 7-hour period. Also prepare your work area. When you sit down at the competition, you'll get a 2D drawing that you won't have seen before, so it's very useful to make sure that you've set out your work area so you can get a hold to your highlighters, to your pens, to your calculators, whatever you want to use to get that drawing drawn up. Also, when you get onto the machine, make sure that you lay out your measuring tools that you're going to want, to make sure they're quickly at hand, so you don't have to go rooting through boxes, because as soon as you get one little problem, the time sort of compounds and you kind of get a little bit more stressed. So knowing where everything is, knowing where everything's to hand, will help you to be that little bit smoother and a little bit more efficient in your modelling. And also check that you have the correct tools and equipment to hand. There's nothing worse than ready to machine and finding out that you've got the wrong micrometer. Then you've got to go try and find that micrometer. You will be given time before the competition to familiarise yourself with the competition area, so you should know where everything is and make sure that you're happy with the way everything's laid out for you. So when you get ready when you've done your work in your workpiece, on the drawings there will be a square box that will ask you to machine, and inside this square box we would want you to either machine or stamp your own unique number. So when you register and you're sent out the test project, you will receive a unique number, and this is the only number that you should put on the piece. So the pieces come to us completely blind, with no idea where they've come from or who has designed the parts, and then Centre just give them to us, set out, we measure them all, give them the results, and then they contact themselves to say if you've been successful or unsuccessful to getting into the national final. Please send these parts back to Centre. The address is below there. It's up in Wynad in Billingham. So I would recommend that you do send them registered post, just to make sure that they don't get lost, because you will have spent a lot of time and effort into these parts. So you need to make sure that they're back with Centre up in Billingham no later than 5 PM on Friday the 27th of May to be considered for the national final. So the benefits of competing: there's a number of benefits for everybody involved. The benefits of the competitor: it raises the profile within your organisation, it showcases your talent, technical ability and hands-on skills, gives you development opportunities through technical advice and training. By training, it means just if you're successful in getting into the skill show, then we will give you a week's additional training on the software and the machines to make sure that you're happy and that you can understand what we're looking for in the competition. Gives you the opportunity to celebrate your achievements. If you get to the skills show and you're in the top 3 people, then you will get a gold, silver and bronze medal in a big award ceremony that we take part in Birmingham. And the opportunity to benchmark your skills against your peers from other regions and other nations, plus other companies as well. It's always good to know that you've beaten a person from this company, or you've been able to hold your own against people from this company. For your organisation, it raises your organisation's profile as a competitive, visible employer, builds your reputation as a responsible employer, gives staff greater development opportunities through qualifications and training programs, motivates your workforce and improves professional recognition, and demonstrates expertise in your field. One example that we had last year is we did a week's training with one lad from the employer, and he went back and they were machining 2 pockets that were, I can't remember how deep they were, but it would take 20 minutes per pocket to machine, and after the week's training he was able to machine both of them in 4 minutes. So instantly that company was able to see the cost benefit of being part of the competition would give them. For the staff, the experience makes them stand out against their peers and increases their employability, provides the opportunity to develop technical and personal skills, furthers the whole workforce development, instills pride and a sense of achievement after competing, and raises aspirations to be the best. It also highlights some weaknesses in them, and these are the people who really come back year after year because they want to prove, they want to show everybody that actually I've worked on this and I'm able to compete at the highest level. So we have a number of sponsors that help us with this competition. The first one is my college here, Grŵp Llanrwllyn Menai, who are very supportive in allowing me the time to design these projects and to participate at the skills show, working with all you young and fantastic talented young apprentices. I'd like to thank DMG Mori, who really support us. They give us fantastic top-end machines to work at. It really looks fantastic out there. And also Sandy Cormorant, who give us all the cutting tools for us to compete at the competition. Another good tool while we're here is Sandvik do have an e-learning program that is free for everybody to use. So again, that's another training tool that you can use to prepare for the competition. So if this is something that is interested for you and you want to do, but you want to find out some more information, then please get in touch with myself. My telephone number is 07769 787 915. You can also contact me on my email down below as well. If you want some more information from CEMTA, who are the organising partners, then if you send them an email below. And also if you want some more information from WorldSkills UK themselves, then the email addresses are down on there. So this concludes the webinar. I'd like to thank CEMTA because they put all this together to enable us to give you the information to compete at these high level competitions, and I wish you all the luck and hopefully see a few of you at the skills show.